Welcome to Adventuring Dimwits and Hyperactive Dragons, a real-play tabletop podcast that uses different role-playing systems to tell a story and mess around a bit. I'm Orion, and in today's session we play the game Kingdom by Ben Robbins. This is the beginning of our journey into Erys series, where we run a bunch of little games to help introduce and set up the world of Erys, in Season 2 of the podcast. In this Kingdom game, we have Bret, Carson, and I, as we play Kingdom for the very first time. So there's a lot of learning and just discussing roles and everything. But it was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy.
There was a street fair in Lafayette today.
Every Saturday.
And we went to it with my nephews. My parents and I went to it with my nephews. And my mother was wanting to find something for Jackie if, there was something that my mother thought they would like. And we ended up, there were some stickers with some gothic and Halloween type imagery on them, including one that said "Get in, loser," and it was a skeleton in a coffin. And I knew Jackie would like that. And I told my mother that, but my mother could not bring herself to buy that sticker. But there were a couple others that, like one with a raven on it, and one with a skull on it that said something along the lines of "Don't touch me," basically, which is also that's also something I think Jackie will like. But so I got Jackie some stuff from got me. But there was a place selling beard oil and beard balm and everything, and I didn't have any cash on me, so I was like, "Hey, do you guys take cards?" And they were like, "No, but we do Venmo." I was like, "Oh, okay, I've got Venmo." So I opened Venmo to pay them for the first time. I've opened Venmo in 9 months probably, because I don't really ever use it. And sitting in Venmo, did I have $385 waiting to be transferred to my bank account. So that happened to me today.
Heck yeah.
Wow.
Sadie's mom she never transfers her money out of Venmo, so she has thousands of dollars in Venmo.
Oh, jeez.
I think last time she looked, she had $4,000 sitting in her Venmo.
Jeez. That'd be nice to just not need.
I know, right? She never pays for anything in Venmo, but she'll tell people to Venmo her and then just never takes it out.
Jeez.
Sadie's dad has started, if anyone asks to Venmo, if they're just Venmo me, he gets her phone.
Yeah.
And Venmos.
Yeah, that works. All right. Do we want to try this?
Yeah, I want to learn how to play.
Okay.
And
well, let's do this.
I have been working on the map today. If anyone wants to look at it and have it pulled up, I don't know. Ryan, you made it sound like we might not need it, but if you want it as a reference, it's got a lot of stuff on it now.
Yeah, I noticed that you were using my map.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because I liked all the stuff you added, so I've just been adding to what you
I added a shit. Yeah, one day I got hyper fixated on it and literally for an hour and a half just added stuff to your fucking map. Well, let me do this because this is podcast shit. Welcome to Adventuring Dimwits and Hyperactive Dragons, aka ADHD&D, a real play tabletop podcast that uses tonight Kingdom, and then as soon as I change it up, I can't remember what the rest of my spiel is.
To have fun and play around.
Tell a story and mess around.
Tell a story and mess around a bit. Yeah, there we go. For some reason, I lose that as soon as I don't say D&D. With me tonight is Bret and Carson.
Hello.
Hey there.
And we're going to be doing this not in the world of Aemon. We're going to be building a kingdom in the world of Erys, which is Bret's world.
What I think we'll be doing next. Right? Maybe. Tentatively.
That is the plan after my camp. I mean, who knows when this will come? Who knows if I'll put this anywhere anytime soon? But yeah, when
hell, this
we'll
may
probably put it up before
right
yours.
Before mine.
We'll put it up. Yeah, we'll put it up before yours. So it's December of 2020 or 2012 right now.
You were wrong the first time too.
I was wrong every time.
It's coming to you live from December 12th, 1984.
That is literally the day before Sheena was born.
Wow.
Yeah, her birthday was 3 days ago. She's 39. Old.
Ooh, old lady.
She's not here.
So we're gonna be. So kingdom doesn't have to actually be a kingdom. So I'm gonna read because there's literally a page that says read this page aloud.
So what is a kingdom? Kingdoms are all around us. Groups are stronger than individuals. In a kingdom, we can work together to do great things. But we may not agree what path our kingdom should take or what it should stand for. Can your vision of the kingdom work with mine? Can everybody get what they want? Because if you're part of the kingdom, it makes demands on you too. You're pressured to do what it thinks is right. The question becomes, do you change the kingdom or does the kingdom change you? We make our kingdom together.
We're not done.
The kingdom is the game term for the community. What? Sorry, go ahead, Bret.
Well, I thought you were done. Is why I was. Where are you reading this? And
so,
do we need to do a clap or something? Because I know I didn't start recording when y'all did. Okie dokie.
I got Craig. I'll line it up that way. It's fine. Last time we did a clap, the amount of claps you do throws off the whole clap thing, and I'm stuck fucking trying to line up the right clap.
I'll be good from now on.
So in the ADHD folder, under resources, and then under other tabletops, because I had to add it to 5 different fucking folders, there's... Oh, it's not even in there. Where is it? Wait, is it under tabletops and then under tabletops again?
No, I found Kingdom and Kingdom Online Play.
The Kingdom Online Play is...
I assumed we needed to have that open while we played.
Yeah, Kingdom Online Play is... I think there's actually one that... Above Kingdom Online Play is Kingdom 12/16/23, which is today's date. That's the one I created just for today. And that has, like, the roles where we put our threats and stuff like that. But in the resource folder... Oh, there it is. Under other tabletops...
Second edition. And then
other tabletops again. Yeah, is Kingdom RPG.
I did have to click on that twice. I thought I was tripping balls when I brought this up.
I need to fucking reorder.
I clicked on other tabletops and I was looking all through it. I was like, it's not in here. It's not in here.
No, it's in the other. So because resources is like mainly D&D stuff, or it started out that way. It's like all D&D stuff just in resources. Then I'm like, okay, well I got to add. And this was originally called, like, Star Wars and other resources or something. So I added other tabletops. It was Star Wars and Dungeon World. So that's just what it was. And then so inside the Star Wars and Dungeon World folder, I put other tabletops for things that weren't Star Wars and Dungeon World. But now it doesn't make as much sense because I made the other one other tabletops. Oh my god. It is what... I'll reorganize it. It's dumb. But yeah. So, we make our kingdom together. A kingdom is the game term for the community or organization that is the focus of our game. Any kind of community works, and we'll decide what kind of kingdom we want to play together. Our kingdom could be a school for wayward wizards, a revolutionary pharmaceutical company, an anime fan club, or the first settlers on Mars. Each of us will play a character who's part of the kingdom. The kingdom is what ties our characters together. It's the center of our lives. Every time I think about the pharmaceutical company, I always think of Parks and Rec when Tom is trying to like sell a business to that one rich guy, you know, and Ben is like, "Oh, you should do a what is it? What does he tell him to do?"
It's a laundromat, or it's like laundromat supplies.
Laundromat supplies, because it's a win-win no matter what, and that's what I think of whenever they say a revolutionary pharmaceutical company. I know it's actually not like that at all, but that's still what I think of. Mm-hmm. And then the last section of this is and watch it burn. The game is about seeing what happens to the kingdom and the people in it, how the characters change the kingdom and how it changes them. As players, we all have equal authority to influence the story. It's up to each of us to push the kingdom in directions we find interesting. What will our kingdom do? What will it become? Will it stay true to its ideals, our ideals, or will we burn it to the ground? The kingdom's fate is in our hands.
So we are doing an anime fan club, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. What do you need to play? We don't need to go through that because it's like paper and index cards and shit like that. We have the Excel sheet that I found that is really nice, and I have a Google document open so I can do stuff on it as well. Learning the game. We'll go through it as we go through it, basically. So we're going to follow the steps. Step 1. What is your kingdom? So this is where we kind of have to turn to Bret, because I think we're basically going to build a kingdom based off of your world.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a literal kingdom, but it can be, it can be basically any group of people trying to do something.
So this was not my idea. I don't remember if it was Orion or Carson, but we talked about the monasteries, and I really think that'd be a good place to go. So I guess I'd do really,
I said
really
the governing
quick.
body of the monasteries, and then Orion followed that up with a crisis they might be facing, so I think we could probably take dual credit for this one.
So, probably really super quick backstory on what the monasteries are. I'd have to look at my notes. I don't remember the exact timeline, but it's 1,000, 2,000 years, something like that, before the campaign will start. There was a hero that ascended to godhood, very much like Talos from Skyrim, and he was a monk, and one of the things he did during his life was he created all these monasteries where he taught people different subclasses of being monks, and they were different virtues is what he opened them to be. They each followed a specific virtue, and they evolved beyond certain subclasses, so now you can find, all different kinds of monks in each monastery, but their general ideal that they were set up for still exists. So I had 12 of them originally, but I don't have them all set in stone. So I think it might be cool if we just took a monastery and ran it like a kingdom.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about that?
I love it.
And I can read
Sounds
y'all
excellent.
the virtues, and we can pick one. And like I said, some of these aren't set in stone, so I'm cool with, if y'all want to make one up, I will throw one out. Let me see. I got more than 12 in this list. So I actually have 19.
Me Googling a list of things that are considered virtuous.
So I have 19. I think when I made this, I was just like, anything that might be cool, I threw on a list. So this is what I've got right now. Bravery, resilience, self-control, dependability, law keepers, honesty, loyalty, selflessness, compassion, patience, empathy, open-mindedness, adaptability, benevolent, charitable, disciplined, honorable, just, and wise. So some of these will definitely come out like just is law keepers.
I was actually going to pitch Justice as a different name for law keepers, but I was waiting to see if Justice or Just was somewhere else in the list.
Yeah, I
we should
think
just call them Davids.
It should be something like the law keepers should be the justice monastery, but they're called the law keepers.
Can we call them all Davids?
I don't get it.
And that it's David's Justice?
Like one of the things
Wasn't he a Braves guy at one point? Yeah, he was.
Yes, he did play for the Braves.
One of the things the law keepers do is they just because you're in that monastery doesn't mean that you are a law keeper. You have to reach a certain rank to be a law keeper, and you actually get a badge, and you're like a sheriff in the Wild West. Basically, they have what's the word I'm looking for? Police officers
to kill.
But police officers they can't cross county lines or state lines. Jurisdiction.
They have a jurisdiction.
The law keepers have jurisdiction across the whole continent, basically.
Do we want to do that? Do we want to just do the justice keepers?
Why they're in
the law keepers?
Dead center. And then I have bravery. They're over there in the desert. Resilience would probably be the most boring. I've got them up in the frozen wasteland where nothing is right now.
I'm like, resilience was the one I wrote down.
Well, I mean...
That's the most boring?
Well, it's the most boring on the map. We could build it and make it not boring.
Well, I mean, there's so many things that could happen there.
Right.
Especially since you added a sea serpent to the map up there. I mean, come on. That's a crazy looking sea serpent.
Charity.
I don't know.
Down there, so I've got 4 on
who
the
cares about
map right now. So only 4 that are canon.
I'm good with doing the law keepers or the justice wardens, I don't know. David
Grey
Justice.
Wardens.
I'm just no. We can't do that. We could do the off-white wardens.
The eggshell.
Oh, the law keepers monastery is near the giant tree in the swamp that I made. Cool.
Oh yeah, I've got plans for the swamp already.
You like my swamps?
I do. I like that
There's
swamp.
a
lizard
large
folk are gonna live there.
green monster man who lives there.
Oh, I get it. The Hulk.
That's correct. Nailed it. Got it.
So yeah, what do we want to just do? Justice? I mean, we can make some crazy stuff happen. What do you think,
that if you
Carson?
want. I'm also cool with, like I said, we don't
Sounds
have
good
to
to me.
use one of the ones I said. If y'all can think of something. And I didn't mean to talk about justice so long to talk us into it. I just realized I could combine those two, and then, you know me, I just keep talking. So now I'm still talking.
I know, I'm just sitting here waiting to see how long you'll go.
I mean, I'll keep going. All right, so time to take over the podcast. What page of Kingdoms are we on?
We're on 7, I guess. Yes, the bottom of 7, technically.
I'm at 10. I'm at 10 now because that's what we're
they
going to
say about Orion, always 3 pages ahead.
That's true. I just keep zooming in on this map and looking at stuff that I did, and I'm amazing. I'm not.
Oh, you are, man. This
Is that an area in the west
over
where
on
I put
the west?
Oh yeah,
The canyon with the plateaus around it. That's my favorite part that you added, man.
It's so cool. I know. I spent way too much time on that spot and making sure it was all like bound. Anyways, we don't need to get into how I how I took your map and just ran with it.
Oh, maybe so happy.
You stole his map?
I made a copy of his map, and I was like, hey, I'm going to add stuff to this, and you can use it or not. It's up to you. And then
I think I asked you to, didn't I? I was like, hey, if you want to play around with it and throw stuff on there, please do. And then the next time I looked at it, it was... Oh, you added so much. Like, I drew the outline, and then you just... the detail you put in.
I think I literally got on Incarnate to make the map for the caldera, and I was like, oh, hey, there's Bret's map. What can I do with this? And I'm pretty sure I texted you saying, hey, I might mess with this. And you're like, oh, yeah, go ahead. And, yeah, so... I made a copy, so that way the original is still there, but... Alright, so we're going to stick to Justice, because I can't come up with another virtue that I think would work. Justice is really good. I like the idea of building the Law Keepers. Resilience is fun, and I really like the idea of what type of crossroads we could create for people who are living far in the north. But I also worry that like Frozen Wasteland would be dipping into too much Game of Thrones territory.
I didn't even think about that and making it resilience. Yeah, I'm totally fine with Law Keepers. I mean, that sounds good to me. They're one of the best. Okay. Resilience would be a good blank slate, but yeah, it is very.
Bravery seems like it'd be. All right, so let's build this kingdom with Justice. I'm gonna mark down Justice as the kingdom.
Hold on, I've got a notebook right here. I'm gonna grab it myself.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was gonna grab a notebook, and I just created a document instead. So we're gonna do Justice.
I got a notebook. I'll take
Center
notes.
of the continent. Yeah, everybody just keep notes. You're gonna need it anyways. There's 2 PDFs I shared into the chat that is like reference cards, basically. The one isn't as necessary as the other. The other one actually shows the roles that we'll be taking, and that's kind of necessary. All right, so
How big are they?
we brainstormed. So we're the Monastery of Justice, the Monastery of the Law Keepers, whatever name. I really like the idea of the Monastery of Justice.
Yeah, I like that too. They're also, most of them have really simple names like that. Like it's the Monastery of Charity. the Monastery of Bravery,
Yeah.
Monastery of Resilience, Monastery of Justice.
You're yes, the divine justice and the divine charity and the divine. Anyways, sorry. You don't even listen to Friends at the Table.
But I'll agree.
What do we call the heads of monasteries?
Yeah, what is that title?
I don't know. Maybe we can figure that out while we play. Or is that not how
Either
this
way,
game
we can
works?
all
I
agree
don't
that
know.
his name's David, right?
Yeah, the head of the
this
monastery
guy's definitely David. Yeah. Of Justice.
David.
He's David.
The title is
David.
Abbot, but I'm like, I don't like the title Abbot for this. I don't think that would make sense.
I'm going to print this reference card off real quick. Because I have so many
that's-
tabs
oh.
open.
You've got a printer?
I'd be more.
I wish I had
I came to the office to play. So
Oh, nice.
I have a big desk right now in front of me and stuff. So I'm just going to print it off and stick it on the desk.
I'd lean more towards like Dark Brotherhood title than like religious
Yeah.
title. Like speaker or listener is more evocative of the concept we're doing here to me than
I like that.
Abbott.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because, like, they definitely worship, a god, but they're not... They're also not super religious. You know what I mean? They're...
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, am I setting rules? I don't know how to play the game, so I
what
don't
if-
want to be setting rules that...
What if we called
I'm not
them
supposed to,
just Lord Justice? Like his title is Lord Justice David or something like that.
And there's a Lord Charity and a Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
I like that. Let me go grab this.
I was like
printer
looking
real
up synonyms for judges. So we're gonna go with Lord Justice David.
Lord David Justice.
This is like, it's gonna be so bad. No, no, it's Lord David Beckham. Lord Justice David Beckham. God, so bad. Adjudicator. Oh.
Adjudicator.
Adjudicator. Yeah, reading it is like throwing me off. The Assessor. Lord Assessor. One of these similar is Deemster. I don't know what Deemster. Malud.
Milady.
I guess someone who deems something
Yeah.
legal or illegal or criminal.
I like Lord.
It is a hilarious term, though.
I like Lord because it's very simple and...
Why is Beak in there? Oh. Beak is another term for like a magistrate or a schoolmaster. Beak. That's weird. It's from criminal slang. Beak justice. The beak of justice. I know. I think just using Lord Justice would be good, or Lord, yeah. Doing just Lord and then I think that works.
It's simple. It's not too flashy. It can kind of be
Yeah,
religious.
maybe some of the ones like humility, like don't call themselves Lord Humility. They're like
Servant of
they
humility.
just go by, yeah, Servant of Humility. Maybe some of them are servants, some of them are lords. It just depends on what type of virtue we're talking about. It wouldn't be Lord
man, if
Bret.
we go down that road, I'm gonna want them all to have a different title.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it doesn't not make sense, but we don't have to do that tonight.
Yeah.
No, that's something Bret can do in his own world building time.
Uh-huh.
Because Lord Charity just sounds, I don't know.
No, it sounds bad. Yeah. I'm the Lord of Charity. I'm the best at it.
Yeah.
Worship me. I'm so charitable.
What if you always just look up for like synonyms of what each thing is, and then find something that like, you know, like for bravery, it would be the courage of bravery or something like that. Be something crazy but valiant bravery. Gallant. Ooh. Anyways, we don't need to get onto that because that's not our kingdom. All right. So, brainstorm a concept for your kingdom. I think we've kind of done that with justice. We've made the leader of this. Your kingdom should include more people than just your characters. 20 people is a good minimum, but there's no upper limit. A kingdom could have millions. Your kingdom ties the game together, so make sure you pick a group that everyone is interested in seeing making difficult choices. If you need ideas, there see. I like this because a monastery that's all about like keeping the law and like providing justice to even like other monasteries could make it a very interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they're at the center of the continent, you know that they're going to have their fingers in everything. Next is, so do we want to come up with some people now, or do we want to wait until we make our characters and then we can just add people to that?
I'm sorry, is that the next thing we're doing? I was writing. That's the next thing we're doing as characters?
No, the next thing, step 1 is what is your kingdom, and that includes should include 20 people or more, which is literally just coming up with...
That's a lot.
I mean, that's coming up with people that you could use. Like, it doesn't have to be a specific person. It doesn't have to be like a named person, but we're talking like we just did the Lord Justice.
Right.
Like, that makes sense. It could be like the monks. It could be...
I gotcha.
The head train, like the sergeant in arms who trains all the monks in combat. It could be stuff like that. I feel like I'm going to be Googling positions and like different things like constantly. I like the idea of like one of them being like the cook for the entire monastery.
Quartermaster or something of that sort. Let's just go through all of the roles we already have in Fjorbs. Why aren't we doing this with Fjorbs?
I thought about it. I really did.
Good too, yeah.
Jackie needs to be here for that, though.
Yeah, I'd rather... I like that idea, but I also like this... If we're going to do this something in Aemon, I'd make it be a part of what's happening currently in the world, and I don't know if I'd want to do that with Fjorbs right now.
I think, too, doing this outside of Aemon is good, unless it's somewhere we've never been, because this seems like a really good setup game. You know, like the Quiet Year. Like, it'll be good to have kind of a blank slate.
And that's why we're doing this, because I want to try this out before actually making the whole continent of Sithori or the Empire of Sodor based from this game. Like, this is the game that I am planning on playing to build that continent.
Right. So,
and then like another one that I kind of want to do with like a bunch of people just to try it out with more people and like different people is going to be the Kingdom of Inamir, where we currently are at in the campaign, which will be also fun because I know stuff about Inamir that is happening. All right, so let's just go to step 2 and the threats. So step 2 is threats. We need to brainstorm 3 threats to the kingdom. These are the things people in the kingdom are worried about. They endanger the status quo. A mix of internal and external problems is best. Oh, excuse me. So they give an example for like a hospital. The hospital is losing money. Malpractice lawsuits are coming. Good doctors are going to other hospitals. These are just a starting point that get everyone on the same page about what the kingdom is concerned about when the game begins. And they can give you ideas for trouble to introduce during play. But it may not be the problems you wind up confronting. They may be fears that never materialize. So these threats are just kind of giving us a feel. Do you have any threats that would make sense for this monastery?
Wait, look, my map is having to reload for some reason. It is really close to the swamp.
Is there a wide-ranging criminal organization, maybe, that is, like, up and coming and has the monastery as a whole concerned about its spread?
I like that.
I'm
writing it down.
Wide range criminal organization. Do we have a name for it?
The Dark Brotherhood.
Ludens.
Lootins?
Sure.
The Lutens? No,
The
we can't do
Lutens.
that.
The Lutens. It's like a mob family. The Lutens. And it's led by Walter Luton.
I love your puns. I love all the puns that exist in Aemon. I just don't know that we need that in Two Worlds.
I mean, this is just me looking at the bag of cough drops next to me and, like, saying words from it.
No, I heard Ludens in that, and I thought you were talking about the cough drops.
Yep. I don't know. Sometimes the best way I find names is literally just looking stuff around me, but that's also how I do my dragon names. So,
Kaiser Sose.
I mean, they
style.
could just be the cloaks or something simple too, right? Like,
yeah, it could be the cloaks. The cloaks. I like the cloaks. We'll just stick to the cloaks.
yeah. So I like the up and coming criminal organization. That's good.
What about another threat is literally internal? It's the idea of what justice is in general. I mean, what if we have some real lawful good people who like think this is black and white justice? So like an internal threat would just be
I like that they're kind of split in half, right? With the chaotic good and lawful good, basically. Like, no, we follow the
it's
law
not
to
a
the letter. And other people are like, no, we do what should be done.
Yeah, and like it's not
internal
like a civil
ideological fissure.
What was the last word?
Fissure, Fissure.
Oh, fissure. Okay, yeah.
I mean, that sounds good.
Ideological fissure.
I wrote internal arguments over justice.
Yeah, it's not like bad enough to be like a civil war where they'll split, but it's definitely still a threat to the overall like makeup of the kingdom.
Yeah, that's good.
Then just one more threat, which what if it's just So these
the monasteries. That's too similar to what we were just talking about. I was gonna what if the monasteries aren't holding together as an organization, and some monasteries are kind of becoming their own entities outside of the like collective of
which
monasteries.
I think that kind of
similar to what we were talking about.
Yeah,
and I think that kind of happens anyways. I think naturally.
Yeah.
What if it's like a? I'm trying to decide if this is something I'd rather say for a crossroad. That's the only problem with the threat.
Could we make one of the threats the lingering prophecy? We don't know anything about a prophecy, do we?
No.
Yeah, there's a prophecy.
There is a prophecy.
All the monasteries
what is the prophecy again? Yeah, but would that be a threat?
No. Unless you have like a false Ulrich's situation going on.
What if it's? I mean, it might be kind of somewhat similar, but okay. So these monasteries
we have a false Ulrich situation going on.
Yeah,
false dragon.
We could have that.
There's a false dragon roaming around.
Do we want to do that as a threat? It was either going to be that, or I was going to ask about the way these cities are set up. Like, is the monastery built in a city where the governments are two separate things, or is the government of the monastery that also reflected in the like? Do they rule the city itself?
So, well, do I answer that question like as DM, or is that something we come up with in this?
That's up to you. I figure you have an answer.
Okay, yeah, because I do, but I'm also okay with. You know what I mean? Like, not controlling it and us crowdsourcing it.
Yeah.
My original plan was, really, that depends on the monastery. The Monastery of Charity, it has a small little town that's grown up around it, and they just all follow the laws, like, of that town. But, like, the one of Justice, yeah, I mean, they have jurisdiction over the entire continent. They definitely... Like, it's their laws in the city that's grown up. I think it's a pretty big city around this monastery because it should be safe, right, in this city, and they're very hands-on about keeping their city safe. So for here, yeah, I think it would be their laws that they're imposing on the city.
So what if the other threat is just normal civil unrest?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have internal fissure, like basically the group itself can't always agree on what they consider to be lawful or not. And then the criminal organization, the Cloaks, that spreads across the continent, that is constantly kind of almost working at odds with this group of monks. And then civil unrest in the local city.
Sounds good.
Okay. So that's our 3 threats.
All right, now locations is next.
Now locations. We're supposed to.
So I've there's an idea for a character with one of our threats being internal ideological fissures. If we have Lord Justice as the leader of the monastery, then there needs to be somebody who is the biggest voice of dissent in a course of justice that does not align with Lord Justice's. Right?
Yeah,
There needs to be a Mazrim Tame to Logain, or vice versa. I suppose it would be a Logain to a Mazrim Tame.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a good character, even for someone to play, because that is a very good power struggle, kind of very interesting. Character, especially because once we get to roles, Bret, like the roles that we are playing, I think that'll make more sense. We can come back to it once we flesh out what we're doing a little bit more. But I wanted to grab that thread before I lost it.
So
would that person be? Would he be in the internal arguments threat or the civil unrest?
The threats don't. Okay, so the threats don't really. The threats are to give us an idea, but we don't actually end up using the threats as much. Okay. They can be like a feed from stuff.
Okay,
it's just a way to give us a feel of what this kingdom is dealing with when we start. So we can kind of go from there. Right now, we should just be focusing on the locations, which is just literally coming up with places that we think things happen. And we're supposed to... Each player describes a location in the kingdom, some place where characters are likely to be found and to interact. Players can go in any order. After each player has made one, each player goes again and makes a second one. So we're each going to make 2.
Okay.
Why don't... Carson, why don't... well, I guess I won't just throw you under the bus. Does anybody have a location in mind right now?
I mean, there has to be... There's some sort of meeting hall, right, where the leaders of the monastery come together to discuss the ongoings of the monastery. I don't know if it's Lord Justice's chamber itself or if there is... Because we talked about this when we played the monk campaign, there was a place where we were brought via elevator where we were basically debriefed from our first mission. Right, where there was basically a council of elder monks that were sitting around us.
But we were part of charity then, weren't we? Okay. So
that's so lovely for Silyor. That's such a fun detail.
So would this be a meeting hall, like a private chamber, or would this be like the throne room for Lord Justice, where like the council meets with his throne and everything, if he has a throne?
I can't imagine Lord Justice having a throne room, so to speak. I think that's too ostentatious. Maybe it's not for...
I would like it being more
for the justice.
Casual, right? Like just a big room. It probably has a stage and very freeform with whoever wants to talk can wait their turn and talk, and they have discussions.
Does Lord Justice have since he's supposed to be meeting out justice and stuff, does he have like a real simple bench that he sits on so it's not like ostentatious?
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, and when he's there, he has like a seat that's his that no one sits in because it's his, but it's like indistinguishable from the other places to sit. Yeah. If you don't.
And it's like a bench that has no back, so he always has to sit upright just to make sure that he's
the most uncomfortable
really
seat.
Focused.
Yeah.
Okay, so meeting hall is the first one. I added the description of it to my notes. Which I think there's...
Sorry, I jumped on that, Carson. That's just actually what my first location was going to be.
I mean, I think that we kind of had already established that had precedent, right? No, that's great. Another... where I think that there could be a lot of movement, a lot of interaction would be, because I have the provisioner written down as a character, which would be the person who is like handing out rations and weaponry if there are weapons to be handed out, and the things that people are going to need to carry out their missions. And that could potentially be a place where people are coming, like leaving and arriving to, where there could be discourse. There could be somebody who's informed of the ongoings in the provisioner themselves, and it's just kind of a place of movement within the monastery that could see a lot of happenstance meetings kind of take place.
And what would you call that?
So like not really,
because it's not really an armory.
I have it as
Provisioners' quarters, or
That's good.
yeah, provisioners' quarters works. Like lots of movement. Like there's almost no seating there because people are just constantly moving through it.
All right, I've got one.
I would say it's basically all standing. Maybe there's a line or something, but
yeah. I'm kind of picturing it like an archer when they go to get like special gear, they have to go up to the window, but not quite that closed off, not quite that locked up. When he has to go requisition a bazooka, he's got to go talk to the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not locked up like that, where you have to literally like hand over like keys or hand over the orders. But maybe it is still like there's a couple guys there, the provisioner who keeps eyes on everything and make sure that people aren't just taking stuff willy-nilly.
And he's probably always got a couple badasses with him, right, to make sure no one's just trying to take anything.
Yeah, I mean,
there's going to be high
I would hope in
monks in these monasteries.
Yeah, and I was hoping I would hope in a monastery of justice, most of the people there would believe in justice to where they wouldn't steal.
Right.
But But who knows? Who knows? Bret, what monastery were our dwarves a part of?
They could be part of any.
Okay, I didn't remember if you had a specific. They were
There'd
like
probably be a lot in bravery because I think it's fitting for dwarves and location because these mountains that make like a Y, like dwarves live in those mountains.
Well,
and the monastery of bravery.
Oh, it's because our dwarves were. Our dwarves were particularly like part of a guild because we were detectives or something. So I almost feel like they could have been part of the lawmakers.
They
also.
were. That's one of the reasons they're so fleshed out. Y'all were law keepers. Remember, y'all got badges, and each one of your badges did something special.
Yep. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I'm pretty sure one of my characters. I think I know who my character is going to be, and I also think I know where I'm going to put a location, which is going to be a barbershop.
I wonder where you're going with that.
And so the barbershop, I picture it being like it's one of those places where people just talk, and you get a feeling for everybody, like. The barber talks to everybody, and everybody talks to a barber. So they get this constant, like, they feel the ebbs and flows of, like, the actual people themselves. And so
is the barber shop
I can see
out of the monastery?
I picture it being, like, I almost picture it being, like, let's say if the monastery is walled, he managed to put it so he has a door out to the city and a door into the monastery, like part of the wall itself almost.
It didn't have a wall, but now it does, for sure, just so that can exist.
If it didn't have a wall, then he's got a big building that's open, but he's the only barber. Okay. So it's built into the wall now. It used to be like just a guardsman little place or something, but now it's turned into a barber shop. And yeah, so people from the city come in and people from the monastery are there. And it has a large seating area. Because he's not the only barber, but there's 2 or 3 barbers. So that's one of my locations. You were going to have a location, Bret, weren't you?
Yes. So I think a good location would be the local law enforcement office. And this is our first one that's not really in the monastery. Because the law keeper monks would be very hands-on in enforcing the law in the city, but they would also hire guards and stuff. They will go on patrols with them and stuff, but they would have local law enforcement that would have their own office out in the city, and there's always at least a couple law keepers in there hanging out or supervising.
Is it one of the Is it one of those situations where the town guard they're under the monks, but they're not exactly thrilled with the fact that the monks are always looking over their shoulder at everything they do because we're the law enforcement, but these monks think that they roll us, kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually like that. Yeah. Maybe there's friction between the captain of the guard and like the monastery, because he thinks that he could do his job better if they weren't
Maybe-
constantly looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, and this ties into like the unrest in the local city.
This is local police versus FBI.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I was trying to come up with a comparison that wasn't just police against police. I was like, lower police versus up. No.
Well,
don't
I
know.
was thinking police and FBI, and then I was like, but is that right? Am I confident enough to actually say
Yeah,
that?
it works. If any shows have if shows have taught me anything, it's the police always hate it when the FBI come over and take over the scene.
They do.
All right, so we've got 4 so far.
So we need 2 more.
2 more. Carson technically came up with the first 2. You and I have both come up with 1.
Now, by location, it has to be something local, right?
It doesn't really have to.
Do we have to? Do we
We
have to do a
have
local?
holding
like-
cells or
I just
prison cells of some
I,
sort?
I literally just typed in dungeon, Carson, before you said that. I was like, dungeon. That's going to be my location. One of the examples is like the mossy forest where nobles hunt stags. So it doesn't have to be in the city or anywhere. It could be like somewhere else. But yeah, I think Carson, I think you and I are on the same brain length. I like the dungeons as a location. Like the dungeons
Like a
in
cell?
the monastery
Yeah.
itself. Because yeah, like if they're law keepers and they're going to have people that
They
they
have prisoners.
imprison.
They definitely do.
And I like that as
It makes sense for
an
them.
option. So, what were you thinking, Bret? Like off campus?
Well, I wasn't sure. I was wanting to tie something in with the swamp, but I think it might be better because it goes with something that we've said. If there are a series of very ancient, like not used anymore, complex, like tunnels that run underneath the city, and the cloaks have been using those for hideouts and to move around through the city.
Okay, I like that a lot. Tunnels
That's
under
good.
the city. All right, that's 6 locations, 2 per player. More may emerge through play, as they say in it. It's like it doesn't have to be just 6. We can end up creating more. Give the locations name that people in the kingdom would call them. So I think we're fairly good on that. The meeting hall, the provisioner quarters, the barbershop, and it's literally just the barbershop. The local law
That's what people
enforcement
call it because
office.
it doesn't have a sign.
Yeah. So it's just the law enforcement offices. The dungeon. I don't think they come up with some fancy name for it. And then tunnels under the city. Do you think they would call them anything other than just the tunnels? Do you think they'd call it like? I mean, catacombs is kind of a cemetery type style.
Yeah,
So
and I don't
know if
picture them
they'd
being
want-
catacombs. I picture them being more like outdated sewers that aren't being
Ooh,
used.
so the sewers might be a good title for it, or the Undercity.
Undercity. That's good.
Erewhon. Jinx. Fuck.
Everybody else calls it the sewers. The cloaks call it the Undercity.
Yeah. Carson and I call it Erewhon. Okay, that works. I like that a lot. All right, we're on to step 4 now, which is people. What kind
Alright, I
of
got
people would
some.
be part of this?
Oh,
What?
nothing. You go ahead. I was saying I've been jotting down ideas for this while we've been going.
Okay. Step 4, people. What kind of people would be part of this kingdom? Brainstorm a list of character ideas. You can make specific individuals or categories of people. Make about 3 times as many as there are players and write them down on scratch page. So 3 times as many as us is just 9. But, is there a list here
Oh, okay.
somewhere?
I thought originally you'd said we needed like at least 20. So I thought we were.
So
gonna
that's
need-
what
I think that's just like conceptually people that might be within the organization, not
Yeah.
Oh, I
actual
gotcha.
like.
I gotcha.
That's yeah. I think these two tie together. That's not like what is your kingdom was just like what type of people. But this I think ties into it a little bit better. I might be wrong, but hey, I don't care. So this is like this can be anything. This can. Well, I mean, we already have technically. We have the Lord Justice. I'm gonna.
And then I think
yeah.
under the Lord Justice, there would be like the next two people in charge. And I can picture it being chain of command, where if someone died, they're just ready to step. You just get like instant promotion. And I mean, I think just sheriff and deputy would be under the Lord Justice. Like they would have a guy that's
Sheriff Justice and Deputy Justice.
Yeah, and the sheriff runs like Lord Justice. He's big picture, right? He is taking care of the city as a whole. He's in discussions with other kingdoms, stuff like that. And the sheriff runs the day-to-day operation. The deputy is his right-hand man.
I think the city guard is a good thing, like just the city guard in general, because they're separate from our monastery.
Yeah, I put captain.
So we have the city guard,
down, but I'll put city guard.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be specific, so I kind of like the idea of that being like, a category of people. Common citizens, but that's not really. I don't think that's specific enough.
I think they would also need someone like. So it is the Monastery of Justice. So you're going to have a lot of monks that are, gun ho and want to go out and help and do things. So they probably have. I mean, it probably would be more than one person that is. So I don't know what you'd call them. I wrote down organizer for missions, but they just get all the requests, organize them into priority and difficulty, and distribute them.
Taskmaster.
Oh, that's good. So basically, if you feel like you need something to do, you go to the Taskmaster, and
Taskmaster, or maybe or you could even call it a foreman. I don't know. Foreman sounds a little too worky for our justice. I don't know. Do you want to stick with Taskmaster?
I like Taskmaster.
Carson? You still there, Carson?
I am.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay. So Taskmaster. I've got Lord Justice, the Sheriff Justice, Deputy Justice, City Guard, Taskmaster.
And I think, like you said, Ryan, like cook/cooks, right? There's like a head chef and then cooks, working for them to feed the monastery.
Yeah, the monastery chef.
Chef
Justice.
Are they Chef Justice? Are they good? Is the food good in the monastery?
I don't know. Well, it says you'll add detail when you actually make characters, so we don't need to get into details of this. But this is just general characters that could be involved in the kingdom.
So obviously the cloaks and cloak leader would be characters.
Chef Justice, the cloaks.
Carson, you had said something about someone that's opposed to Lord Justice, or
not
the monastery as a whole.
I think opposed might be a strong. Like there must be someone who kind of initially voiced the position that is counter to Lord Justice's version of justice, that then kind of spread those internal fissures amongst the monastery, right? There's got to be somebody championing kind of that.
What if there's what if there's a, like, his second in command isn't the sheriff or something? What if it's like Lord Law, and Lord Law is someone who is like up there, like right below Lord Justice, but he also doesn't actually follow, like he doesn't, like Carson was saying, he's someone who kind of opposes Lord Justice in most of the ways. He's the Lord of Law, and his version of the law isn't quite the same as the Lord Justice's.
Yes, and he could be like a judge, right? Like his job is to interpret the law, and he's kind of butting heads with Lord Justice because they're disagreeing on how the law is interpreted.
Yeah, and Lord Law and Lord Justice don't always get along, and are at odds a lot.
Oh, I like that. I add this to my.
That's 8 right there. One more, and we could call it quits on type of people? Do you want to go more individuals or a category?
I think just about everything we got's category, right? You want to do more specific? Well, I mean, I guess I named like 3 that are specific, but just don't have names.
Yeah. Yeah, taskmasters are kind of multiple. They're the people who give out the quests. Chef Justice, maybe there's more than just one chef. The Cloaks is a general. The City Guard is general. Lord Law, which is kind of Carson's anti-Lord Justice. Not exactly anti. They're on the same side, but they don't see eye to eye, right?
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about what this maybe ideological difference could be.
Okay.
And is it too on the nose for Lord Justice's position to be protect and serve, where Lord Law's is letter of the law?
I was thinking about suggesting this too. It's basically chaotic lawful. God dang it! Chaotic good versus lawful good. Is that?
So Lord Justice,
like Lord Law says, "This is the law.
They both do have to be good." So yes,
this is what we should do. And the Lord Justice is like, "Yeah," and I get that, but
I would almost even say neutral good, honestly, over chaotic good.
Yeah, neutral good is better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the letter of the law, so they follow the law to the T, basically, while Lord Justice will sometimes pardon people that Lord Law would not really see.
This person should be thrown in jail for stealing.
I think one of the big differences...
Yeah, but this person was just trying to feed his kids. So I'm going to...
I think that's the big difference, right, in their ideologies, is that I think Lord Justice sees and interacts with more people, whereas Lord Law mostly interacts with criminals who have done something worthy of being punished and is otherwise surrounded by a lot of sycophants is too strong of a word, but, hangers on, it's still too strong of a word, because I don't imagine this being, I don't know, we were playing a politics game pretty significantly already in Monk Campaign. I know this is Redux and we can kind of throw some of that out the window, but I would like to imagine that there's less political maneuvering, but this is a powerful organization in the world, so I guess that's just reality.
And it depends on what happens here, right? Like
if we want to go into our normal call, it's Valda versus the Supreme Commander of the White Cloaks. It's straight up.
How many Wheel of Time
power versus
we get?
Yeah, basically straight up power and just like following through. It'd be Gideon versus Theron. It would be, and then. Possibly someone is a little bit more sneaky and conniving. It's when
Hey Ryan, apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
How does the leadership of the Commonwealth change over?
He's asking for a friend.
Yeah. Well, Bashar Kadir took it by force. Before that, it was actually more of
okay.
It was a little bit more hereditary, like handed down. But yeah,
but what you're saying is that there's some archaic principle that I don't know some former Grand General of the Commonwealth might be able to invoke to challenge Bashar Kadir to combat, perhaps.
I think he would have to have support from other generals to be able to even put forth that type of challenge.
That makes sense.
Like if Gideon showed up at Winchester and walked into the council and said, "I challenge you to combat," Bashar Kadir would probably just use Thieves' Cant, and then his assassins would just slice you down in the spot. But if you have support
a lot
would
have to happen for us to get to that point, but there's a certain snowballing chain of events that have a lot to do with Sathori appearing again as a threat that I could see a path to this being a resolution. Anyway.
I would think that would probably be second season of Aemon when that would probably have to start taking place if we get that far. I don't... But,
Yeah,
Because-
like I said, apropos of nothing. That's not
Yeah.
what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. But
I've definitely thought about that, and I mean, it could definitely happen. But I think you would have to start. Gideon would have to start building something that would let him, first off, get back to Kelstar in one piece, and then second off, have support from people enough to like get him in a position of power in the Commonwealth. I mean, now Haskell could just assassinate Bashar Kadir, but I don't know if that would exactly put Gideon in a place of power. Now, I'm not saying that this is, but there is another general who is in the good graces of the Commonwealth who could take over for Bashar Kadir, who could end up being a halfway decent general and might be all right with that. Might be a good way for Gideon to change hands of the Commonwealth in a way that would be a positive for all involved. Ugh. But all right, we still need our ninth people, our ninth person. I'm like trying to stay away from like making it like the common folk, or even just the monks in general. Like, what if it's
have we done like the guardsmen of the city? What about
the city guard is on there? Yeah.
What about members of the cloaks?
The cloaks are on there as people.
What about the leader of the city?
Oh,
Like the head government official.
well, yeah, we should talk about that. What do you think government's like in this city? That's basic because, like, I picture the Lord Justice basically.
I haven't
runs
looked at the
it.
map. Where are we?
Center.
Dead
Where are we
center.
on Erys?
Yeah, right above
The
the
dead
slopes.
slopes. Yeah, the dead slopes. We're the big city, like directly north of the dead slopes.
Okay.
We're above the S of slopes. The first S, I should say.
It was essentially hereditary in most of the lordships of Erys in old Erys, I guess. Was it passed down through family, through bloodline?
Yeah. Most of the map has changed a lot from what I had it. It was originally all broken up by race, basically, and it's not gonna be like that anymore. And that's definitely how the humans ran everything. It was feudal system.
Nope.
So it's probably somebody whose family has roots pretty deeply into the city and who's been around for a while. What do we think the vibe of the city is? Do we think, because like for there to be a guard and the Monastery of Justice and still a cloak presence in the underground tunnels of the city, we've talked about civil unrest being one of the threats. Are things just hectic? Is there no confidence in law enforcement? Is there no confidence in the government? Is the king or monarch, whoever, whatever title they have, are they favored by the people of the city? Are they scorned?
I think that's gonna be something we develop in the game itself. That's what Touchstone is supposed to do, is actually tell the feeling of the city.
Well, the city's not our kingdom, though, right? The monastery is.
Yeah, the monastery is, but I mean, it's kind of all. Yeah, so I guess we wouldn't be touching on the city itself, but that also means that we're not. Our problem is against the city, so.
It's kind of semantics, isn't it? The city and the monastery. The monastery's in the center of the city, and they kind of run the city. Like, yes, I do think there is a government, like a head official in the government, but I've pictured it with Lord Justice still runs everything. And I don't think that's a secret.
Does that mean the people think of them mostly as like a puppet? A figurehead?
Maybe, or it could just be he has a different job than Lord Justice, and Lord Justice can't do it all. So,
what if it's like they think of the government officials of the city as like the mayor of a small town, but then they think of actual Lord Justice as like the president of their country?
Yeah.
or the mayor of their state, if we want to go smaller than that or something. Like, what if it's like,
Governor.
oh yeah, this mayor is in charge of the town, but I mean, overall, this guy will overrule him if he needs to, or wants to, or whatever.
Yeah, like the mayor's still a good guy to know.
Okay, so we can put this,
but not as good.
Yeah.
We can put this down as one of our people. Then I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like. Yeah, put him as government official. Okay. So that's 9. We're good. Next up,
Read your list off to me, Ryan.
Yeah. Okay. I've got Lord Justice. I've got the Sheriff Justice, the Deputy Justice. So that's 3. I've got the City Guard, the Taskmasters, Chef Justice, the Cloaks, Lord Law, and then Government Official.
Is that not on this page?
I didn't see one, so I just made it on my... I literally didn't... No, They didn't have that on there, so I'm going to actually put that under locations. I'll see if I can... Yep, there we go.
So I just wrote stuff down too, but I have...
Here, I'll add it right... Whoop.
11.
No!
Oh, because I wrote Lord Law twice. And I wrote civilians down. But I didn't say that one because that just seems like, they're going to be.
Okay, I put it under the locations.
Oh, I see it.
The location section. It's not all fancy and whatnot, but I'm not going to get all fancy right now. And by fancy, I just mean coloring it. Alright. Trying to... Okay. Next up is making characters. So now we're all going to make our main character for this, and then after we do the main characters, we're going to make our minor characters for this. So step 1. Do they actually have you... Oh yeah, okay. So you're going to pick your role before you actually describe who you are. Whew.
So we pick one of these characters. One of these people. We pick and play
No,
the character.
The people don't actually have to be a character. They don't have to be a part of this thing if we don't want to. It would make sense for us to like pick some of them, but also they don't have... Those are just people that fill this kingdom and are people that we could refer to in scenes and stuff, but don't actually have to be a part of the overall thing. That's why it's individuals or categories, because it's literally what kind of people would be part of this kingdom. Yep. And it's simple concepts are all you need. You'll add detail when you actually make characters. So now we're making the characters. Each player now creates a main character they will use to explore the fate of the kingdom. Then afterward, we will create minor characters who are also part of the kingdom, but who provide a supporting cast for our story.
When we name our main character, do we give more detail about them then? Or is that something we do later in the game?
I think...
Yes.
I think we each need to try to take one of the roles and then find somebody from the list who fits that role.
Mm-hmm. I am really... Okay, I'll let you guys...
Do any of the roles stick out to anybody?
I am very much... Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go.
Okay. I would like to have the sheriff. Because he's number 3, and I picture the sheriff trying to be the middleman between Lord Justice and Lord Law a lot. Like the sheriff sees both sides.
What role do you think that?
And is trying to.
So you think perspective?
Yes, he tries to share his perspective with both of them. You know, make them see that they're both not always right and the other's not always wrong. And he's also trying to do that with balancing mechanically running the day-to-day operation of the lawkeepers.
Have you looked at the role stuff, Bret?
No.
So you understand what they all do?
Like there are mechanical implications for what I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through the roles real quick since you haven't looked at. There are 3 roles. There's power, there's perspective, and there's touchstone. Power, you are in charge.
That's why I asked about perspective.
Yeah. Power, you are in charge. You tell the kingdom what to do. This literally means at the end of a crossroad, you say yes or no, whether what happens. And if there's more than one power, we do a vote Perspective. You understand the kingdom, both its merits and its flaws. You can foresee the consequences of decisions the kingdom makes. Perspective makes predictions. So when we have a crossroad, you're going to make predictions based off that crossroad.
And that is, if this decision is made, this consequence happens.
Yes.
Am I remembering that correctly, Ryan?
Yes. Yep. It's basically, if yes, this is what's going to happen. All crossroads are a yes or no type situation. You don't want to make a crossroad that there isn't like a yes or no type situation.
So you make the prediction and then the yes or no?
Okay.
The yes or no is determined upon by like what you will say is like we have gone through a scenario, and so now at the end of the scenario, at the end of our scenes, there is now some new crossroads that is being decided upon, and you as a perspective, it will be your job to say this is what I can see happening. Like, if the cloaks are not dealt with quickly, then this will happen. Yes. Civil unrest will get worse. And then depending on how things play out, when the power chooses how the crossroads plays out, your perspective, your prediction does come true if your criteria is met.
Yes. So being the sheriff, and your sheriff basically predicts what's going to happen. So are you good with perspective?
I am, but I'm not sure if I would be the best one at it.
Do you want to hear? Did we go over what Touchstone does mechanically?
So Touchstone, when your character expresses an attitude, the people of the kingdom automatically feel the same way. So if your character is feeling, if it's not predictions, it's not like so you're not going to make a prediction about it, but you're going to be
vibe. It's vibe.
It's vibing. If the sheriff. It's not how.
I like them all, so I'm fine picking last. I hadn't read these. I wanted to go first and be the sheriff, but after reading Power, Perspective, and Touchstone, I do not care anymore because I think
if you want to be the sheriff, then I think Perspective probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think the
sheriff
should be Perspective for sure.
Yeah, and that's fine. And like technically, we don't need a perspective. We don't have to have one of each. We're gonna try to do that because that's should make it a little bit more interesting.
Well, but so what I think we do with three of us being here, we're going to have a major and a minor character.
Yeah.
I think we give both of our characters roles.
All right. Yeah, I'll just stick with. I'll be sheriff. Perspective.
Yeah. Okay, sheriff perspective. We'll come up with the name and stuff. Let me get back to where I was. Guess I moved up to the roles. Okay.
This is interesting.
So your sheriff perspective. Carson, what do you do? Who are you going to be? At least the basic right now.
I like them both a lot. I like what both of them do a lot.
I like all of them.
Imagine doing this with like 5 or 6 people.
What do you do if you have 5 or 6 people? Or only you do have like multiple people that are the same.
Oh role? Yeah, you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, we could all be perspective if we felt like it. The problem with that is with no power, crossroads don't ever complete.
Right.
So that would make it really awkward. But yeah, we could. It doesn't limit you to just everybody has to be one, and then so. I think, and they change. We can change our roles throughout the game. So.
Yeah, they do. People can seize power. That's what makes it very, like, it almost seems like Lord Justice and Lord Law both need to be represented here one way or another.
Yeah.
With how we've set things
Lord
up.
Justice definitely needs to, someone's got to play him and be power, right?
I feel like archetypically in our group that makes the most sense for me. Orion, do you have a preference? I have this weird feeling that you want to be Chef Justice and be a Touchstone.
Chef Justice, if I didn't make my character be Barber Van, the barber, and be Touchstone, it would be Chef Justice and be a Touchstone, yes.
All right, I'll be Lord Justice and I'll be I'll be Power. Ugh.
Power. Carson. I hate my N key. It always does double. And yeah, my main character is going to be Chef Justice, and he is going to be a touchstone. Okay. Yeah, more than one person can have the same role, and some roles might not be taken at all. At some point, Chef Justice might try to seize power. Now, power doesn't technically mean like you're not the lead. Like if Chef Justice becomes a power, it's not because he's taking control. He's not doing a coup. It's just all of a sudden what he says means something. So it can be the whole like voice behind the throne.
Almost like his touchstone has become so strong that it gives him, people listen to him and make decisions based off of him.
Pick a concept for your character. So step 2 is who are you? Choose someone from the list of people you brainstormed that fits your role.
Don't we need to do minor characters before we move forward?
No, because we do everything for the major characters, and then step 5 is minor characters.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're gonna do because technically we might change this to make it so that the minor characters can have roles, but technically they don't get roles. I don't think usually. But we'll see. I'm trying to do this step by step so that way we can. But yeah, step 2 is who are you? Your character. So choose someone from the list of people you brainstormed. We already did that. That fits your role, or make up a new one. Describe who you are, what you do in the kingdom, how you look. Your character must be part of the kingdom. Do not make a character who doesn't care or wouldn't be affected by what happens. This is why I can't be Weezus. You can make a character who hates being a part of the kingdom, but simply walking away should not be an option. So you can make somebody who completely hates this kingdom, but you can't just leave it. Some ideas might be an obvious fit, like a captain having power, but less obvious matches can work too. A king doesn't have to have real authority. They could be a touchstone. A vagrant who leads a mob could have power. A loyal general who obeys even when she knows it's bad for her country. Perspective. So I don't know what that was.
Mine. I feel like mine is self-explanatory. We kind of know who Lord Justice is.
So my chef. Who do I want my chef to be? Chef Justice is going to be. I'm trying to come up with a name. Do either of you have names for like actual names? I know we joked.
I'm still like
we joked about
Lord with a description, but
okay. We joked about Lord Justice being named David. I don't know if you want to stick to that, Carson. So you can.
I'll figure something else out.
Bret, you have a character name?
Yeah. Sheriff Justice Cassidy Sterling.
Oh, nice. Pronouns.
She, her.
She, her. Okay.
She has dark skin, like suntan skin, long dark hair that she normally keeps pulled back out of her face. And she's normally wearing white monk robes, splashed with like yellow, whatever the word is, like trim and stuff, an accent, and normally has a Nagenta on her back, throwing knives hidden all around, like all in her cloak, and wears a wide brim hat to keep the sun out of her eyes. And she is always trying to do what is best for the monastery first and the city second. And I think a large part of her job is she's kind of an unofficial advisor to Lord Justice and Lord Law. So she kind of has both their ear. She respects both of them respect her, and she's their middleman, their go-between, and the one that she tries to make them reach compromises when she can.
Cool. Carson, do you have yours? If not, I can do mine. I came up with it.
You have yours?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mine is named Dancing Peace.
How you spell peace?
Peace. Lots of times they call her Chef Pieces, No, they're gonna be they them. They're called pieces a lot. Chef pieces. They're known for their extremely well made appetizers. So it's always piecework. It's always little stuff. We're not sticking to certain racial stuff in each of these monasteries, right?
Right. Yeah, you can be anybody.
Okay. Then Dancing Peace is going to be I'm trying not to do...
I didn't tell Cassidy's race. I guess she's human, though. That's how I was picturing her.
Yeah. Dancing Peace is going to be... I keep wanting this... I'm just going to go with it. Is a tiefling. They have... They don't have any hair, and their skin is almost scale-like. Like fish scales. So it always seems a little bit, like, moist, which is a little weird. They have 2 horns that jut up from where their ears should be, but there doesn't seem to be any ears, but they jut up, like, straight up from their skull just a little bit, about a few inches above the top of their head. And they have 2 more smaller horns that curl from their chin and around, like a goat's horn almost, but small. Some people joke that the ones on their chin, like they scratch at them a lot, it seems like, and they say that they use those for seasoning on their appetizers, is the part of their their horns. And they're a touchstone because they are they also they are in charge of the monastery's food, but they also deal a lot with the actual city restaurants and city what's the word I'm looking for?
It makes all the sense in the world that someone who's providing food for a lot of the city would be a touchstone. They get the vibe from the people. They kind of help set the vibe of the people.
And I'm picturing them, like, when they're not working in the monastery itself, they're out in the city also, like, with a... Oh, why can't I think of, like soup
kitchens?
Houses. Soup kitchen type stuff. Like, they're helping people who are in need, basically. So, they're definitely a touchstone because of that.
I like that.
So, tiefling, lots of horns. Carson?
Lord Justice's name is Aron Mastane.
I gotta change that from my notes. I have him as David.
Mastane, yes.
Okay, Mastane.
What?
He had to change it from David. How is Aron spelled?
Auron.
Different than Maitland's Aron. Spell that again.
Auron. Mastane. Okay, I got it. You want to describe him?
I'm really trying to decide on race.
I know that was my problem too. I almost went Tabaxi, and then I was like, nope, I'm not going to go Tabaxi. We'll see enough of those in this world once Bret starts leading.
What? Not me. Does our minor character, are they going to have a role too?
High Elven.
We'll discuss that when we get to there.
Okay. High Elven.
Ooh, okay.
High Elven, late 300s, so kind of middle-aged. Does that make sense? Is that copacetic with the timeline, Bret?
I'm totally fine with
that. It's tall, probably like 6'4", 6'5". Kind of like a not like super muscly or anything, but like corded muscles. Very obviously very strong. Wears simple robes.
More like a farmhand strong than bodybuilder.
No, I don't think it's like it's not willowy because he looks stronger than that too. But like his body is well toned, but he doesn't have a lot of bulk, right? Angular features, elven features. I think he's actually only has a dusting of hair on his head. He keeps it shaved. wears robes. There are robes of the station of Lord Justice. Do we have a symbol that would be associated with the Monastery of Justice?
We would have to.
We can make one. Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a symbol. I don't have it in mind. Whatever it is.
And like a color scheme, do all the monasteries have kind of a different color scheme?
Yeah, I think so. I do think whatever their symbol is should be simple, because it should also be what the badge is.
I was thinking, like, I mean, it's
elaborate.
justice if you go with just a set of scales.
It's the scales.
Yeah, I like that.
It has to be.
Yeah. I was going to say, the more elaborate
and
design has, like, a shield on one scale and a sword on the other, and it's perfectly balanced.
And what if it's black and white, their color scheme?
I like that.
So I think it's actually white robes with black accenting for like threading, and there's a like emblazoned on it is kind of like the badge of the Monastery of Justice, but I think it's like a black diamond with white scales, because black scales seems ominous to me for some reason. So I want it to be a black background and white scales.
Yeah. Can I add one detail to the
No.
the symbol being scales?
Of
Can
course.
the middle piece, I don't know what you call it, but there's scales, so there's the things hanging on each side, and then there's the middle piece that holds it all up. I like the idea of that being a sword.
Good. I like that.
I like that a lot, yeah.
So it's like a sword stabbing down, and then off the hilt of the sword, the scales are hanging.
Doesn't himself carry visible weaponry. Seems to resolve most of his conflicts with words if possible, but will resort to using his fists to protect himself. And is known to be fair.
Wise?
To try to champion the people at every turn. I think generally wise, well regarded.
Is he...
But there are some who consider him perhaps a bit naive.
Okay. Is he stubborn, or does he take advice well?
I think he listens to counsel, but maybe doesn't seek it out as much.
Okay.
I don't know that we really honestly even get started tonight beyond maybe doing a round just to kind of get it under our belts.
Yeah, I'd like to get a crossroad done. I mean, but... Step 3. Your locations. Pick 2 places where your characters would be found. Say what you do in these locations or why you picked them. You are telling the other players that these places are good, or that these are good places to have a scene with your character. Let me look at our list of locations again.
I mean, I think I got mine. They're fairly obvious.
What are yours?
Would be the meeting hall. I think she would spend a lot of time in there.
Halls of Justice.
Yeah, the halls of justice, and I was gonna say the local law enforcement office. She might pop in there sometimes, but that actually, as I'm saying out loud, seems like it would be. She would probably send other people to do that, unless she just wanted to pop in. And so another one would be like in the chambers of Lord Justice and Lord Law. But I mean, if it's a good place to have a scene with them, that's not a good place to have a scene unless it's with those 2 characters.
What about maybe the dungeon?
Yeah, the dungeon. I think that's a good one.
What about... I mean, Lord Justice, you're probably going to do... What are you thinking?
So, like, I don't know if it's problematic if we do have the same location, but Halls of Justice obviously do make sense.
It does.
For the Lord Justice.
And these don't have to be here.
But if it's not the Halls of Justice, I could do his personal quarters instead. Maybe he holds open office hours.
I mean, we could have
what if
two, couldn't we?
Yeah. What if instead of the dungeon... I mean, yeah, we don't have to have scenes here. These are just commonly found. What if instead of the dungeon, the provisioner quarters for the sheriff?
Oh, I like that a lot. Yes.
That way we
or
use that
even the taskmaster. But provisioner's quarters is better. I'll put that.
So we got meeting hall and provisional quarters for the sheriff, meeting hall and personal quarters for Lord Justice, and then I think for dance.
We got a third location for Lord Justice.
Where's that?
It's definitely the barber shop. He gets his head shaved every day.
Yeah. Dancing piece is going to be the dungeons or the barber shop. Obviously, the kitchens is like a very commonly found one. I think that one doesn't even need to be said.
I think in the original canon, he got his head shaved in his personal quarters.
Oh, that could be true.
It might have just been that Orion did that because y'all met with, I don't remember what his name was then, but basically, you met with Lord Justice
that's because
cut his hair.
That's because Barber Van, when he meets with people, he starts cutting their hair wherever he is. He did it to the same people he was meeting when they went to like find,
that's true,
whatever they were searching again. He just always has his barber implements with him, and if he starts talking to somebody, he's going to start cutting their hair.
I like how all the monks know who he is, and like he just starts cutting their hair, and they let it happen. They're like, oh hell yeah.
Yep. Just snip, snip. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Last part of the main characters is your bonds. Describe your connection to the character on your left. Say what you need from them and what makes the relationship difficult. Discuss it with the other player. Your bond could be personal or related to your duties in the kingdom. It could be friendly or it could put you at odds, but even the best relationship must include some tension or trouble. So, to your left, let's just do...
I think Bret started, and then I went second, and then you went third, so I think I'm the character to Bret's left, you're to my left, and Bret's to your left, Ryan.
So I'm making one for Bret's character, Bret's making one for your character, and you're making one for me. Correct?
And I'm making one, for your
character.
Yes.
What step are we on?
So we're going ABC, is literally what we're kind of doing. Me to Bret, Bret to you. And then you to me.
Yes.
Okay, that works. That's great. Our names are so good. A, B, C.
I'm going to Carson then. Right? That's what I need to know.
Yes. So say what you need from them and what makes the relationship difficult. I'm going for Bret, which is the sheriff. I'm the... Can
I pitch something?
Yeah.
Am I allowed?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, no, that would be... Okay, no, that still works. I think that the sheriff comes to you to vent. Because who better can you possibly vent to when you are caught in the middle of all sides?
Than the cook?
So, like, you are the sheriff's personal sounding board? Is that the opposite of what we're doing, though? Is that the sheriff's bond with you?
Yeah, it's what I need from them, and what makes it... Maybe that's part of it, though. Like, okay, what I need from the sheriff is I need easier access to the dungeons. I need easier access to, like, the areas outside of the monastery because I do the soup kitchens, and I need him to basically allow me to provide more food outside of the monastery. And maybe that's one of the tensions we have, is that the sheriff is not constantly doesn't want me to be providing food to just every single person out there, especially since I probably provide food to a lot of the cloaks without it being like a known thing. But I'm not going to stop feeding people just because they're a criminal.
And maybe
I go to the dungeons.
You don't pay attention to the money side of it at all, right? So like you just
I
get
don't.
all the food you can, you share it all, and the sheriff is like, "Hey, you like this isn't free. Like, yes, what you're doing is good, but you can't just like keep taking these excursions and spending so much money. We don't have those kind of funds."
And also, what makes it difficult is that you do come to me and vent. And you talk to me about problems that you're having with all these things. And I'm like, okay, but I'm still going to feed them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that.
I have my bond to Orion, Bret, if you want to...
yeah. So let me...
if you're ready, go ahead.
Well, I have to have a bond with you. That's what I need from a relationship.
With me.
And it has to involve tension. So you go ahead and go.
Say what you need and what makes the relationship difficult.
Okay. All right, you can go first, Carson. I'll go after you.
I need information. I need to understand. I need to know what information passes to your ears, be it in the monastery or in the city. And I definitely use the weight of my station to lean and put pressure on you to give me that information.
I like that a lot. Oof. And Dancing Peace does not want to give you that information, at least not if it would harm people that I'm feeding. Okay. Cassidy?
Okay. So I think the bond between Cassidy and the Lord Justice would be they're friendly with each other.
Please, Cassidy, call me Aura.
And they're friendly with each other, right? But I don't think they are friends.
Yeah.
Probably because they're both
He's still your boss.
They're both too busy to really be friends, right? Even though they get along. And since the sheriff is kind of like the unofficial advisor to Lord Justice, like I think like that would be their bond, right? And what Cassidy needs from the Lord Justice is for him to seek out her counsel more, because they are both busy. So like sometimes she might have some input that could have helped him make a decision, and she didn't even know the decision was going to be made, and wishes that he would come to her more and ask for advice more. And then also when she gives advice, she wishes he would take, like he would understand the weight of her voice, or respect the weight of her voice more than she feels like he does.
Could I suggest maybe a little caveat too, in that Cassidy wishes that Aaron would take the opinions of Lord Law a little bit more seriously too.
Yes, I definitely think that. And
I
think that would be a bond she has with both of them. Because I have pictured her, or tension she has with both of them, because I picture her teetering on the edge of, like they're both very, like Lord Justice is always neutral good. The Lord Law is always lawful good, and she's case by case. Like she just wants to know all the details about the case, and then she decides. Yeah, and she wishes that both of them would seek her out more and listen to her more, and listen to each other more, and respect each other more than they do.
Okay. Step 5. Minor characters. Each player also makes a minor character to help flesh out the kingdom. Take an idea from the list and give them a name and brief description. That's all you need. Fold an index card into a tent and write the name and the description. Or character on... Yeah, we don't need to do that. So give them a name and a brief description. Minor characters must be a part of the kingdom, but they do not have roles and none of the special authority that the roles give to main characters. They might be very important people in the kingdom, but they will not be the center of the story or key decision makers. Try to create someone who would interact with other main characters more than your own to avoid talking to yourself. If someone's main character leaves the kingdom or dies, we can promote a minor character. So, if we don't do the roles and stuff...
Orion, buddy.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be Lord Law. You're going to be interacting with mine and Bret's characters both a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird for him to be a minor character, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking Lord Law, or...
They might be very important people in the kingdom.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I was thinking Lord Law or Barber Van, because Barber Van is going to be barbering everybody, so he will always be involved in everything, but Lord Law, unless Bret wants to actually be arguing, I think Lord Law makes the most sense for me.
I think you're the only one that can play him.
Yeah. Cool. I get to be the lawful good. Which, okay. Name and brief description, right? That's what it said?
Yeah.
Lord Law is going to be... He's a hobgoblin. I think that's what he's going to be. Lord Law is about a 6 foot tall hobgoblin. I'm trying to come up with a name right now.
And his name is Gobhoblin.
Gobhoblin.
Green Goblin.
His name is Bill Bobson. His name is Vol Revel.
Is it V-U-L-L? Vol?
V-U...
V-U-L?
V-U-U-L. Vol Revel.
Okay.
And then it's just Revel like normal. People like to say that he revels in justice.
Some say he revels in cruelty.
law. That's true too. So yeah, he's an average. He's about.
Some say he's a vole in a china shop.
He's a 6 foot tall hobgoblin. Dark red skin, like dried blood darkness. And that's him. He is my minor character.
Man, I thought I had two good ones, but I feel like they would both interact with the sheriff more than anyone else.
You could always take Barbara Van. What if you take the would the mayor of the town interact with?
Because I was thinking
more,
the deputy
He's
would
not
be
part
a
of the
good one.
kingdom, though, right?
I would. He's still a people of this
That's
kingdom.
the one I was gonna go
if
with.
we go with
I
the fact,
thought I had a really good deputy, but or the taskmaster, or the captain of the guard. But I don't really think the captain of the guard, like the city guard, would interact with our characters much. Other than if he did, it would be my character.
you could also.
I think if anybody's the captain of the city guard, I think that's me, because I could see me interacting with the sheriff and with the chef
Yeah,
as
the leader of the
they're
cloaks.
in town. Like, it seems like the sheriff would.
you could be the leader of the cloaks. I was thinking about that. Or you don't even have to be the leader. You could just be a member of the cloaks. That is,
A cloak.
you could be a cloak. We could either say they're like in the dungeon, which means you're going to be interacting with people who. No. Can you hear me, Bret?
Yes, we can hear you, Clem Fandango.
So we can hear him. He just couldn't hear us. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes. Yeah, probably. It would switch automatically. You might want to make sure it's still recording too, just to double check. Okay, yeah, definitely start that back up. Just hit record. It'll just start it back up. Yep. Hit record, not play. Play will just play what you've already recorded. just hit record. Yeah. It won't. It should start it after this file.
Okay, yeah, it jumped. Yeah,
Okay.
Audio
All
file.
right. All right. I need to close out of the wiki document about scales.
So could y'all hear me when I was talking
Yes,
about
we
the
could hear
characters?
you.
And then I'm like,
Yes,
long pause. Oh, I see it. Like, okay, maybe those aren't good. I thought they were all good.
Okay. We were talking. Okay. So, Carson, do you have a minor character? Do you guys? What do you got? What do you guys got? Come on, let's do this.
Well, I was going to do, like kind of like the head provisioner.
Okay.
But now the captain of the guard has been mentioned, and I feel like that's a good character for me to play who could interact with both of your characters.
Yeah, that's a good
and give
one.
us some perspective outside of the monastery. So I'm happy being the captain of the guard.
Okay. Captain of the
Well,
guard.
Maybe I will do the deputy. And like I had said, Cassidy doesn't spend much time like down in the guard station, but maybe that's something that gets delegated to the deputy a lot.
Yeah.
So it could be somewhere he goes, and then, so I don't have a name for him, but I had pictured the deputy as being so he's kind of Cassidy's little project. When she picked him up, he's a lizard folk. He came out of the swamps and was kind of crazy and fighter, and she has like civilized him, I guess, for better lack of terms. And so now he's like multi-class, right? So he's a monk too, but he is a little bit of a loose cannon. reckless, headstrong, loose cannon, and definitely like the guy you send in. He'd be like the enforcer you send in, right?
Okay.
Like, we found the cloak's hideout, and we don't care what happens to him. Send in the deputy. All right.
Alrighty. Yeah, just mention a name whenever you come up with one. Carson, your city of the guard? Guard of the city? Whatever. Fuck. Captain of the city guard?
He is a half-elf named Dennis Reynolds. No, let's see.
Half.
I do like half-elf.
Oh, I already wrote down Dennis Reynolds half-elf. I mean, you can't change it now. No take-backies.
The deputy is Rashk.
Ashk?
Rash with a K at the end. Rashk.
Okay.
And he is a... What color lizard folk should he be?
Purple.
He is a purple lizard folk.
Alright, is it actually Dennis Reynolds half-elf, Carson, or do you got something else?
No, it is a female half-elf named, her named, Delaney Forrester.
Delaney Forrester. Just like I say, her name is her.
Her pronouns are Delaney or Forrester.
Anyway.
Yeah, her pronouns are Delaney or Forrester. Okay. That's it for character creation. We're now on to the story.